he would designate them terrorist organizations. And I believe he should, and he will.
And it's now time for America to wage war on the cartels.
Okay, the stage is being set and things are getting very serious between the United States and a war that will be waged against the cartel. This guy right here, as many of you know, is Tim Homan. He was selected as the border czar by Donald Trump, but his position is going to be very unique because now the United States wants to turn the cartel into a terror organization. He will have the open assets to everything he needs, whether it's the U.S. Navy, Special Forces, drone operators, whatever he needs. If the cartel are a terror organization, he needs to defend the United States, and that is his job. Now, there is a new interview that came out where he sort of talks about why the U.S. should designate the cartel as a terror organization and what we could expect when the U.S. does go after the cartel. Okay, this is a short clip that gives us more insight into where Tom Homan is at, and he also even tells us the cartel pretty much went after him and his family, and it's already been an issue. Sit back, relax, it's a short clip, and then we will give our opinions on it.
You believe you could legally declare them terrorist organizations and use the military to go after cartels?
Well, look, ever since I gave the speech at the RNC, I've had numerous death threats from the cartels against me and my family. And matter of fact, my family isn't with me right now because of the death threats. But, President Trump has promised that he would designate them terrorist organizations. And I believe he should, and he will. And the reason why they should be designated terrorist organizations, the criminal cartels of Mexico have killed more Americans than every terrorist organization in the world combined. Now, I just said, 250,000 Americans dying from fentanyl poisonings, and up to 4,000 aliens have died crossing the border. President Trump is committed to doing it, and I think he should, because the cartels are a national security threat to this country. You're getting a fentanyl from China. The precursors, they send it to the criminal cartels. The cartels make this poison and send it across the border. The border violence is now coming across into the United States. The criminal cartels of Mexico is like a Fortune 500 company. I mean, the Jalisco cartels is in 42 countries now. These criminal cartels that smuggle this poison over across our border, it used to be about smuggling into the United States. Now they have a presence in every major city of this country. Now they're taking over the distribution network within the United States. They need to be attacked. They need to be wiped out. Absolutely.
Okay, so remember, you are hearing words such as attacked and wiped out, and it looks like the main motivation is pointing out the facts that the cartel have technically taken out more American civilians than any other organization in the world, so in theory, they should be called a terror organization. The only issue is, and I hate when people use this word, it's a nuance idea to think that you are going to go after an organization that's just always been a part of the Mexican culture and the U.S. culture as far as what's to be expected of the cartel. Illegal things coming into the country, people suffer the consequences if they buy those things, you have issues going on in the border, you have things going on around the world, but the United States seems to be the final objective for cartel, considering the United States has the most money and they're buying the product. Now, this is a picture of Yemen. You're probably wondering, what the heck is Yemen doing on the map? Do they have anything to do with the cartel? They might, but I want to give you guys an example of why it's very important the United States must first designate the cartel as a terror organization. If you are unaware, the Biden administration actually removed the Houthis as a terror organization in order to help the people of Yemen with humanitarian aid. Then all of a sudden, October 7th happened, and then as we know, there were issues going on in the Middle East. The United States stepped in, more ships came in, and the Houthis started to attack U.S. ships. Because of this, the Biden administration had to redesignate the Houthis as a terror organization, but this essentially greenlit the United States to use all of their military assets and government assets, logistical assets, to come together and fight against the Houthis, because now, once you're designated as a terror organization, it's a lot easier for the U.S. to actually do damage to that organization, to include Donald Trump giving orders as the commander-in-chief. So again, I'm using Yemen as an example as to how the Houthis, they weren't terror organization. It was hard to do anything to them. The second you made them an organization, it was very easy to do whatever you needed to do to suppress them. Now, the idea has always floated around using military assets within the country of Mexico. Donald Trump sort of trolled the idea. You had Mitch McConnell also try to push the idea to make the cartel a terror organization. But the former president of Mexico was absolutely against this. He wanted no U.S. boots on the ground, and he didn't want the U.S. coming into Mexico and doing whatever they wanted to do as far as a military presence. But things seem to be a little more different. The current Mexican president seems to be a little more open to the idea of actually going after the cartels, calling them out individually, but we still don't know where the U.S. is at as far as always saying that they're going to use U.S. Special Forces to go after the cartel. Nobody knows how the U.S. will implement the U.S. military. I don't think we're going to see a Predator drone over a territory in Mexico and targeting the cartel like that. It could happen, but for the most part, the way that Donald is talking is that he mainly wants to go after them in a defensive way. Securing the Gulf of Mexico, securing the Pacific Ocean, securing everything on a naval front, but also really securing the border. Because there is a notion that we understand the cartel are already in the United States. We know they're in Mexico, but the problem is already in the U.S. Try to suppress the issue, but also try to kick them out while you can.
Country is being poisoned from within by the drugs and by all of the other crime that's taking place. The drug cartels are waging war in America, and it's now time for America to wage war on the cartels.
Now, again, I want to point out the backbone of this conflict does seem to be controlling the drug trade or anything of that aspect internally within the United States, because you heard the border czar say the cartels are already within all of the cities and control the distribution. However, Donald Trump did show some implications of being on the offensive and being on the aggressive front. Again, without a doubt, you need cooperation from Mexico to get anything done internally within Mexico, but the United States does have the right to uphold their lands and to defend the lands, and the only way that the U.S. can really get this done is if they do call it a war and they do designate the cartel as a terror organization. Because of that, once again, like we saw over in Yemen, and I gave you the example, the United States has an obligation to protect U.S. citizens, and not only that, if there are cartel within the United States, and we know that there are, it'll also open the FBI, the CIA, Homeland Security, and Metro Police, sheriffs, state troopers, everybody within every area can actually do their job and help protect U.S. citizens, because we all know where all the substance is coming from. We know where it's being channeled through. It's just being able to be on a united front. Call this a war, everybody fights together, and you kick them out individually or do whatever it takes to stop the cartel from coming into the United States.